non-Big Four journey for somebody who has come to UK without any experience of Big Four firm. By Big Four, I mean PwC, Deloitte, EY, and KPMG.
SBI. I've been working here in the UK for the past 1 month now. It's about to be 1 month, and but previously my whole background has been non-Big Four. I was working in a firm in Saudi Arabia called PKF, so it was considered big top 10 firm in the Saudi Arabia. But I was working there under the ACCA program for the last 3 years, and I've done my ACCA also based in Saudi Arabia itself.
Thank you very much for joining today. I think that the topic of joining ACCA training is separate. We will maybe cover sometime in future. Let's talk about UK perspective. So when you're applying for UK job, did you ever think like, is it possible? Because a lot of people I talk to from non-before just think or just have that in mind. It's not even possible for somebody like in a top 10 or top 20 firm to really look for jobs in UK or get sponsored. So what were your thought process at the beginning of the search?
I completely agreed with my own self that there would be a lot of issues in actually getting an opportunity itself, that I would have to look either for a very, very specific job in some sectors, like maybe go towards hospitality, that's something that was my own specific niche, or even look for financial services.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I quite well enjoyed working in the audit field. So I thought that it's better to apply everywhere I could possibly do. I did apply even to Big Fours itself, but again, the main reason for them, it was that there's no lack of qualification or even experience, but the mark that you don't have an experience from the Big Four itself, that was one of the biggest drawbacks. And even if you were applying to other medium-sized firms, which you could say were not based off international firms, but local firms here in the UK, in maybe Ireland, or even in Scotland side, for them, the biggest issue was that you don't have a Big Four background experience, or not even a single internship from them. So they had like sort of hesitation. It wasn't because of the experience or something, but at the end of the day, it was a mark on the CV that you have that sort of big companies' four names on, or like a brand mark on your CV, which is quite important. So that's something I quite well early on accepted, that I'm going to face difficulties in it, but it was that I just never stopped applying.
I know. I guess the Big Four thing is if the firms get a lot of CVs, and then when you see different candidates, both with the same experience, same skills, and one got a big company name at the back and other one less. So I guess their eventual priority goes to the Big Four guy who got a bigger name on the CV, which is a fact. It's just same as any other company in the world. Like you got Unilever, you got GSK type of companies. If you are applying in any pharma, of course that experience counts very much. So I guess that's just kind of a true for Big Four as well. All right. So now talking about the your job search, I know you have written on LinkedIn that LinkedIn helped you to get the job. So how was your journey in terms of job search in UK?
So I quite actively was searching on LinkedIn almost every day. So what I did was that I started creating alerts for titles like job senior, semi-senior, qualified ACCA auditor, external auditor for all countries. I was searching specifically for the city of London. I was looking at Glasgow. I was looking at Edinburgh. I was looking at Manchester, all the biggest cities, as well as targeting for countries as well. Like I even was looking for Australia, Canada, or any other possible like option there was. And then whenever there would be any opportunity that I could see, okay, this has been posted an hour ago, even 30 days ago, I would still keep on applying to them. The major thing was that the moment the opportunity would come up, just have a go through and what the description is saying. Try to update some keywords on my resume as well, and then immediately upload it over there. And whatever questions, sometimes on LinkedIn as well, they would like to ask you some questions. Are you fully qualified or not? Are you willing to travel to your client sites and everything? So I tried my level best to answer as positively as possible, and then just submit and honestly wait if I could get a reply or not.
Yeah, I guess the key was for you to just be more active than passive, and try to see if anything comes your way, and just applying yourself actively as soon as opportunity arises. All right. So we talk about you apply to different firms, Big Four, non-Big Four. Now there's usually in hesitation, and I know we talked about this as well. That is the career in a non-Big Four. What do you think about it coming to a non-Big Four here? When of course a different country, you are putting a lot on stake. Coming on a different country, coming to a different country, and you don't know how the economy is going to react in the next couple of years. So, what was your thought process in that perspective?
Definitely, especially I think post-COVID situation, it is a very big risk. There are layoffs going on everywhere in every
Yeah.
sector, in every field.
Yeah.
We have seen in software engineering and also sadly in accounting firms as well, specifically for other sectors.
KPMG just fired like 1,500 people in tax
Exactly.
recently in
Yes.
US.
Recent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite sad. So I knew the risk, but the thing is, again, from my own goal perspective, I knew that moving towards the European market or even the UK market or America or Australia, that would definitely give a big more jump than rather than just being just continually working in the Middle East market, because that sort of market actually progresses quite differently.
Yeah.
You're sort of, I would say the word stuck on that senior level for a very long time, and then you sort of progress into assistant manager, and also onwards. Over here, the whole system works a bit different. You
Yeah.
are given opportunities to actually progress in your career quite quickly, but at the same time, if it's quick progress, that means there are risk of actually being laid off as well. So I definitely knew that there are a lot of risk, and the thing is, I never gave up like back options as well. Like if something does go wrong over here, I am quite continuously always active in talking to people that are based in Canada, those are based in Australia, even other European countries now, because I know for a fact that once on the resume, I have written that it's okay, I have an experience in the companies or in the firms that are based in the UK. I've audited them as well, different sectors, some listed, non-listed. It would actually help you in finding more opportunities rather than being like a demotivating factor, rather than if I would have
Mm.
just continued in Saudi Arabia where I was working earlier. So for
Mm.
sure, there were a lot of risk, but it was something that I was willing to risk, and I'm so far so good.
No, I guess what you will see in next probably couple of months is people reaching out to you on your LinkedIn for jobs.
Absolutely, yeah. And I
Uh,
completely understand their aspect as well. I did the same thing. I would quite often cold message people on LinkedIn trying to see, ask them if, okay, the hirings are going on, would they be actually able to even accept someone from a non-Big Four background? Because like from the start of my career, it was something like that was going. And I knew that I would actually have to let them know that this is a fact, that I don't have any sort of experience from any of the other Big Four firms. So they would know this on hand. And if they wanted to go ahead, that would be great.
cool, awesome. Now talk about the firms on. So if you are coming to a different country, of course, the company has to sponsor you, the firm has to sponsor you. Before candidates or the firms have a lot of sponsorships, they can afford that. And when it comes to medium or small firms, their affordability is quite less, and they can't, of course, hire everybody from abroad. So what do you think is does the work prospects looks like for somebody who wants to join a non-big four, or let's say top 10 or top 20 firm? How much is the chance for the international candidate? Like you must have applied to many firms, many jobs. So what's your experience there?
Absolutely, it's quite a mixed answer for this. There are a lot of opportunities, but at the same time, that firms are hesitant in actually giving them, especially when sponsorship comes in. Yes, even the Big Four firm has shown hesitation in actually accepting people who had experience from other Big Fours
Mm.
as well. I had colleagues and other people who were applying from PKF or other firms to UK, Australia, everybody else, but they faced the same issues, that even those firms were not willing to sponsor, because at that time either their whatever quotation or whatever number of limits they had for the sponsorship was over, or they didn't feel that strongly that okay, going to sponsoring that individual, no matter how good the experience is actually going to be more beneficial for the firm when they could have easily hired someone locally. So from my own experience, yes, I heard rejections from a lot of firms just because of the aspect of the sponsorship itself. For them, it was that okay, if there was no barrier for the sponsorship, they could have actually given the job quite easily, because we had the experience, I was fully qualified. So for them, that was a plus point in every aspect. But currently, if I speak about my own firm, they have and they are quite actively hiring people from overseas.
Mhm.
Just at the same time, when I was hired, more than 2 to 3 people were hired on sponsorship from other countries, two of which, including me, were from GCC, and some were from other smaller countries around Europe and Asia. So it's quite a mixed answer that yes, there are some firms, including the Big Four, which are hesitant in accepting, but then at the same time, there are audit firms who you can't even expect that they would be so much willing and quite actually quickly have this whole process completed.
So yeah, I guess that's quite different as compared to last few years. When I remember back in time, there were very limited number of sponsorships given by smaller firms, medium firms, and they were not willing because there was a lot of sorry, free movement of people from
Yeah.
Europe, and they did not really have that issue with resources. last couple of years, of course, there has been a lot of issue with resources, and they have to hire. And the best way to probably get somebody is Asia, Middle East, those are markets. A lot of people
Absolutely.
are very dedicated. They know what they're doing, and then they're really, really good employees for any company. That's where I've seen the increase. And of course, all the big firms, all the smaller firms, like not even smaller, like the top 10, Mazars, BDO, GT, everybody has been recently hiring a lot from abroad. All right. Now on the job application process. So I mean, the visa process is exactly same for everybody, but how long usually these firms, like your firm, basically took the whole process to be done? Maybe a couple of months from their side, because I'm just thinking from a perspective of supporting you in immigration case, like doing all your work at the back, or with the fees or whatever charges you have to pay for visa, IHS, and stuff like that. So how much was the support?
Quite surprisingly, this is what people say, that it takes quite a long time, at least on average 2 months. But for me, the case was quite opposite. After the first and the second interview, I got the offer letter quite quickly. You can say actually within a day time. And then after I gave my reply and said yes to the offer, the confirmation of sponsorship, which we say calls, was
Mm.
actually sent in within 5 working days.
Okay.
So I didn't have to wait quite a long time for that to actually receive from the HR of my firm itself, because the partner was the one who was directly involved in this whole process, and he was quite well, making sure that the process could go as smoothly as possible. And when it came time to actually applying and taking all the appointments and all the fees and even the IELTS itself, actually there is another point which I want to raise, was that I was not required to give the IELTS because I had the ACCA. Plus, along with that ACCA, I had the Oxford Brookes University bachelor's degree. So both those degrees, considering they are from the UK country itself, and the language is also considered to be English as the median for the education, I was not required to submit anything for the IELTS or anything else. The only thing I was required to put was my ACCA transcript and the OBU degrees transcript as well. Other than that, for the cost, it was all completely covered by the firm, along with an allowance that was provided for relocation purposes. So all of this process was done easily under 1 month.
And then that's cool. I guess the firm has to do their part, and then it comes to the visa approval authorities, home office. They can take the time as much as they want
Absolutely.
to.
I was
Um,
a bit worried that it would take long, but for me, it was again 2 weeks' time, and then thankfully everything was done.
they started taking more time when Ukraine thing happened, but now they're back to normal,
Yes.
giving decisions in a couple of weeks as well. All right, no, that's good to know. They're covering every cost, because I know some small firms don't cover kind of
Yeah.
all the cost, because I mean, I understand that part as well. They are employing, they are incurring a heavy cost. They are not as big as big ones, but still they're sponsoring people. Anyway, so let's talk about some numbers in terms of, not exactly numbers, kind of your opinion on them. What does the salary look like? I'm sure you have a lot of friends in Big Four. So what does the salary look like for an assistant manager, senior level person in Big Four versus non-Big Four, higher, lower, or kind of same?
I did, especially during the time that I was hired, a lot of people were being hired in other big four firms, PwC, EY,
Mm.
Deloitte, or even to the other top 10 like GT, BDO. And I would say actually it is quite competitive. It is almost at the same level and sometimes even higher from these firms. So if I could give you like a range, it is always for a senior, if we say it's always like 45,000 to above 50. And then of course, when it's a system manager, it goes above 50 to 55. So whatever salary ranges, especially from the few firms that I got into contact, and especially my own current firm right now, they have been given the salary ranges completely competitive to Big Four and even the other top 10 audit firms. So that was something which I actually quite well appreciated, that they understand this factor, that if we are coming in, of course, the workload is almost similar to what it is
Mhm.
at the Big 10 or Big Four firm. They are providing those benefits, including bonuses, which again, at some firms I've
Mm.
heard, especially for the smaller medium firms, they sort of avoid that aspect, and it's just kept for partners or
Mm.
managers. But that's not the thing in especially in the two firms that I reached out to and the one I'm working in currently.
Awesome. So last two questions before we wrap up. So on the working environment, you have worked in Middle East. You know how we do the work over there. You have worked here now for not a lot of time, but still 1 month.
Yeah.
So what is feel is the work environment, especially considering UK, where we always see people saying that there's a lot of work-life balance. In UK, you kind of enjoy your life as well along with work. So what has been your experience? And I think what I want to cover a few points like home working, like as against office, or kind of a late hours that you're working, etc. All these aspects.
So for us, our case is that we are usually based out at the office or at the client majority of the times.
Mm-hmm.
But if we consider it in the other aspect of work-life balance, I would say it is quite exceptionally well. Again, coming back from Middle East, it was not the case over there. It is something that's completely not integrated in any of the firms because you have so much workload, multiple clients that work-life balance is absolutely not there. But over here, so far, even though I've been allocated on clients and it's clients which are based in groups and you have multiple assignments going on at the same time, but that sort of work-life balance, which was not over there available, I believe it has been quite a good option over here. You don't have to sit late. If you would like to, it's your choice. You could just sit. If you don't, you don't. It's nobody never pressurizes you that you have to sit. Even coming into work, like for example, on I think on my third day, I had an issue with the bank and I had to like be out of the office for maybe 30 minutes. I immediately reached out to the partner, being worried that maybe he won't appreciate it, but he said that it's okay. We understand. Of course, you have an appointment. Doesn't matter. But yeah, so there is quite a flexibility, especially whenever you could have any sort of emergency, you could have any appointments, or even initially when you feel like, especially for a newcomer, you think you're settling into the place and the work environment and even the country itself. They do appreciate this fact and actually provide as much support and guidance they could provide. And even during our work hours, everybody is taking a break to have breakfast in the morning. Lunch hours go really pretty well, and it's quite a relaxed and very informal environment, but at the same time quite respectful, and you won't feel like you're out of place at that time. But yeah, working hours are getting a bit longer as well because it depends completely on your assignments. Considering my own
Audit
background,
is same everywhere.
exactly, that's not something you can run away unless and until you don't have that sort of assignments where you're not working on multiple clients. If it's one client, then yeah, for sure you can leave at 5, come in at 9, that's it. But when you have multiple clients going on, it is something that you have to be a bit flexible about. But again, the thing is that the firm is quite flexible and there is a good work-life balance. And if you would even like to work from home, you could just inform them and you could work from home as well. Like for example, one day I actually had to because there were some issues with transportation, so I was working from home that day.
Okay, it's not completely gone, but I guess they prefer people coming in the office, going to clients mostly. I mean, this is part of the business development as well because the smaller firms have to put more client facing to actually grow a business, which is a different story. We are not covering that
Yeah.
in this video. All right, last one is we talked about salary. So of course, firms to provide benefits. If you are coming from a different country, you expect some kind of essential benefits like insurance, like accidental or emergency, or maybe some other covers. So what does it look like? Like even in holidays, apart from public holidays, so how much does it look like for your firm in terms of benefits other than salary?
So yeah, we have private insurance as well. Especially it's covered for those individuals who are fully qualified from senior level and onwards. For holidays as well, you have 25 normal holidays, which are considered a part of your annual leave. You have holidays for any religious purposes, vacations if you would like. There are emergency leaves as well, sick leaves, and even if you have again a simple appointment in the bank, you have to visit a doctor or anything that comes up on your personal level, you could easily take the half day off. You could even take a full day off. There it won't be something that could be denied immediately. There are quite a lot of study leaves provided as well, especially when you are going towards any qualification, and the firm also provides support on this. So like, for example, I've already, even though I'm fully qualified for ACCA, I am thinking about going towards ICAW, and that's something I did quite initially speak with the firm, and they are more than happy to provide study support for that. For example, having some sponsorship done with some of the study leaves, providing the guidance and the books that are available for the papers, and even having some meetings done so that you could be quite well ready to give your exams. So there are multiple benefits, and which should have been always a part of audit firms, considering that how much manpower is a very integral part of the work field. So that is something I quite well appreciate that it is there in the firm. And it is also, I have seen that few other firms as well, which I was applying to initially, were providing these sort of benefits as well.
Right now, and the things about kind of insurance. I mean, talk about private medical. It's more like the other insurance being life insurance, accidental, and stuff like that. So, do you think the firm covered that because that's quite an important part of your kind of a life? I mean, just a worst case scenario, if anything happens. So, do you think these covers are available?
Absolutely, yes. It's covered under the whole like package of whatever insurance is being provided to every individual that's considered like from senior level to onwards, or any full time actually fully employed individual of the firm.
Yeah, but kind of permanent, I would say, not a contractual ones because. But
Yeah, contractual ones are actually those usually which are through either university level, those who are
mm,
working because they have to cover their hours or their credits
mm,
for university.
mm,
But the others are all considered as full employees.
yeah.
So they would be just those are the ones which are considered on contractual basis.
That's helpful. Thank you very much for joining. I guess we have shared quite a lot that there's a possibility. There is, of course, a struggle. You might get demotivated and you might just think it's not worth it to apply. But I guess if you can share some final points for somebody who never had the experience of Big Four, who uh, I mean, haven't got chance basically to be part of it, and then now is looking for a career. What would be your final comments?
Firstly, it would be to very actively keep applying every single day. That is the biggest issue because there are so many candidates in the market who are applying regularly that the moment a posting or any job opportunity comes up, it actually ends up receiving more than maybe 50 emails, resumes in 1 hour. So you need to apply quite well actively and always keep on updating your resume as per what job descriptions are written. Because if you go to any firm, if that's a big four job opportunity on LinkedIn, Indeed, or any other website, or even their own websites as well, or if you go through just for other top 10 firms or even local firms that are there, they have quite specified designations or what responsibility they're looking for, what audit software programs you should know, what other bookkeeping software programs you should be aware of. Do you need to be fully qualified or not? Is there any sort of English language requirement? So just make sure that you're quite well aware of what the requirements are for on a generic level for each firm,
Mhm.
and make sure your resume actually also quite well explains what you have done in your own current firm. It could be in Pakistan, it could be in the Middle East. Make sure that you actually indicate on your resume that what sort of sectors you've worked on, which is quite important, and how many listed and non-listed clients you've worked on. Make sure that you're able to actually complete your qualification on time, because that is quite a critical criteria over here in audit firms. For
Yeah.
them, a qualified candidate is far more better than any non-qualified candidate that could even be from the Big Four itself, because that actually shows that they have not been able to progress in their career alongside with their professional qualification, which is quite important and it's considered quite critical in your job opportunities over here and even for future progression. And for sure, make sure that you keep on searching on LinkedIn every single day, or at least keep some timelines where you're able to regularly view opportunities on weekly basis, and make sure you put an alert as well, because that actually helps you keep on target and you could just come up with opportunities. And for sure, referencing also works. If you could reach out to a friend or someone who you could just know possibly through other friends or even cold messages on LinkedIn, they would act, if they're not able to even help with with getting a proper job opportunity, at least they
Mm.
can give you some advice, maybe some future reference which could end up helping you. But again, the most important thing is don't stop applying, keep on applying, and for sure one day that opportunity which is for you would definitely come up.
Thank you very much for this. I'm sure this will be helpful a lot of people. There's lack of guidance, especially when it comes to non-big four. There's hardly any guidance.
Absolutely.
Uh, I can see a lot of videos on YouTube, but that doesn't really give a lot of sense unless you really talk with somebody who has been through this process, because
Yeah.
they can only share the actual guidance, actual insights, what happened in the process and how it's actually going, and is there really a possibility. So thank you very much for joining. I'm sure we'll be getting in touch again, probably on some other aspects like IELTS. I know even without OBU, one of my friend back in time just got the on the basis of ACCA itself. Uh, did not have the IELTS requirement. There can be other aspects as well. We can touch later, but thank you very much for this video. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.